People are saying that JK might be kicked out of the military over something he did. What's going on with that? We also have people saying that the label might be getting legal action taken on them over something different and what that's about. And of course, we have rumors of JK near his house. So Dumplings, is David Asai. Let's get into it. There have been some videos going around, some people talking about things where they're saying that CCTV footage has caught JK shopping near his new house. This of course makes sense because it is around the holiday season, and if he were to go shopping, he would definitely do it around his house, and he is either on vacation or holiday, and so maybe he has some time to do it. And even if he isn't, he would still probably want to go shopping to buy gifts during the holiday. So there were definitely people saying that they were able to see him shopping and they caught moments of this. Of course, all of this is just rumors and it's all what people are saying online without showing any actual proof or any CCTV footage of any of that stuff. In fact, there was even a video where they said that that was what they were going to talk about, but the actual video was like a biography of JK and his life. So there's a lot of people saying that this is happening without any actual proof. And to a certain extent, it's good that this isn't true, right? Because it means that people aren't tapping into the CCTV footage and then leaking that clip when all of that stuff should be private. But I think the thing that bothers me more than it being a fake story is just the amount of people that believe in the story, because it would literally take 2 seconds to realize that this story isn't real. Because as I mentioned earlier, some of these videos will be titled that, but the actual video itself has nothing to do with that. But then all of the comments are just talking about the title story. And so it literally will take 2 seconds to realize, oh, this is probably not a real story if they watch the video, because it's not being addressed in the video at all. Like there's no reference to it at all. It's not a rumor that's attempting to be debunked. It's nothing. In fact, there's no words aside from the idol's name that are actually in the video from the title. But even if you can't figure that out, in Korea and in a lot of parts of Asia, Christmas is definitely not seen as a big deal. And if they were to give gifts, they would give gifts pretty much any time of the year rather than just wait till Christmas. Giving Christmas gifts has been a Western tradition, and a lot of parts of Asia have adapted that just because they want to also show that they give a lot of gifts, but it's not seen as a big deal. In fact, in most places in Asia don't even have the day off. They still continue working. So I don't know if he would go out in public to go shopping. The last time he did that, he was in Dubai and he had a whole security team around him, which of course would be a huge deal. He would immediately attract attention, and then he would see footage online that had gone viral of him just walking around a mall with security near him. Also, if this was a thing that he was doing for his close friends and family members, like buying gifts for them, then he could just order it online without it being made public on social media, and then risk those people knowing what those gifts are before he gives it to them. But of course, when you're super famous or successful, there is always a chance that sometimes you can't do something in private, and that definitely makes sense. And then of course, there are sometimes things that people say that may be not as accurate and not the full truth, but then be interpreted in a really different way to the public. And recently that happened with HYBE. This gets pretty dark. I don't really know if it needs a trigger warning, but here it is anyway, because it involves death. But apparently someone at the office passed away from working too hard. That was the rumor. And then apparently the rumor alleges that the workload was then passed on to some of the other employees, and they were worked a lot without sufficient breaks. Of course, I want to clarify, these are all rumors, and when the government official and people from the progressive movement that was looking into it, they did end up finding that there is no solid evidence of this being true. Many people were definitely concerned about the very tough work environment at the label. Of course, I can definitely understand that concern, because if someone was working so hard that they died, then you would definitely want to look into that company to make sure they were practicing fair labor laws. Because how on earth do you overwork an employee to the point that they die and people didn't see signs before that? I think it's one of those rumors where it's so ridiculous, but at the same time, I think people want it to be real because they want it to be a statement of how corporations overwork employees. And in some instances, it does happen, right? Some people do get diseases and those things from working too much. But as we can hear and find out from this, it wasn't happening in this case. The actual reason as to why the employee passed away was not disclosed in the investigation, and they couldn't find any sufficient evidence to support any of these claims. The label has then implemented some new changes, and I don't know if it's as a result of this situation, but probably just as a result of trying to make the company a better place to work in general. And the label has done multiple things, multiple times, to help with that, like incorporating an in-house hospital as well as having really good food and those sorts of things. What they've now offered is the ability to have unlimited time off as well as being able to choose their own hours. Now, who gets those benefits is of course not clear, because someone who maybe is working a job where they might not necessarily be able to pick their own hours, because let's say customer service, they need to work during open hours. And then of course a janitor, would be expected to work specific hours. So unless we hear something about that coming from those people in those positions, we won't know what it's like for the entire company, right? But I don't think that the person that died was in any of those positions. I don't really know. However, some people were saying that the label definitely needs to get investigated or looked into. And I'm glad that it was looked into to be proven that it wasn't true, because that would be something that would be quite shocking and it would not be good if it was true. However, speaking about something unrelated to this particular situation, but just something as to how BTS has worked and how the label has worked from day one, I do think a lot of the newer generation of K-pop stars are less likely to work as hard, and a lot of them are expecting things to just be handed to them more than the old OG K-pop stars or the previous generations have. And the thing is, you can't have that mindset, because the original K-pop stars from the older generations already had a lot handed to them. Of course, they still had to work really hard, and sometimes to their detriment, but they had resources handed to them, like being able to learn how to sing, act, dance, and do all of that stuff and have the company fund that, to the point where even if the celebrity decides to leave the label and not work with the label anymore, they still have all those skills and stuff that they can take with them. But in Western culture or Western pop music, the Western music industry, the singers pretty much leave and come with what they have. The label does not pour money into vocal lessons and dance lessons and that sort of stuff typically. If you want to learn how to dance, you can then probably take some of that money and budget that they give you and use it for dance. But the label, if you never were someone that came into the label dancing, they would not want you to start dancing. So what I'm saying here is that K-pop labels, you're getting more anyway. So to ask for everything to be handed to you or to expect that is kind of crazy. That's just really more so of a side rant than really anything else. And of course, this is coming from the fact that I've seen our BTS boys work so hard without any handouts. It somewhat saddens me that the new generation isn't always working as hard. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely plenty of groups that are working overtime, if anything. But the fact that there are even one or two groups that may not be working as hard is exactly what I'm talking about, because there used to be none of that. JK recently came on a live stream and it was really cool and people loved it. And it was a way to show that even while he's in the military, he's still thinking about us and he's still working really hard. Very soon after, like the next day, someone went ahead and reported him to the military camp or whatever to basically say that he should not be allowed to live stream because he's still enlisted. I don't know if that person watched the live stream. It seems as if they just found out that he was live streaming and then decided to report him rather than them actually watching the stream and being a viewer of it. Because right off the bat, I think pretty early on in the stream, JK mentions that he's allowed to do this because he had gotten permission to do it. But apparently it was alleged that there were reports that were filed against him, or maybe just one report. I don't know if there were multiple. This, of course, had gotten the community very angry, and I totally understand. I'm on their side about that. But I think that this is the dumbest thing ever, because that just means that there are people out there who are just waiting for the next move of JK or any of the BTS members just so that they can tear them down and try to get them in trouble. Because what is the goal here? To get JK kicked out of the military? To do what? Get him in prison? I don't know what it is that you want from this. So I definitely want to clarify that it was not an illegal stream. He got permission and he mentioned that, and he's not going to get kicked out or any of that stuff because he did it with permission. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Links to this lovely comment right here. Love you. Bye.